Nolan Grayson, loving husband, caring father, superhero. The Grayson family seemed to live the perfect white fence life. That is until the day the man known as Omni-Man single-handedly took down the Guardians of the Globe for no apparent reason whatsoever. Ooh, that's messy. But the man, or should I say the Viltrumite, who seemed to have a clean record, has more than one skeleton in his closet. In today's video, I'll discuss Omni-Man's darkest secrets, his weaknesses, and his reason behind his actions in Invincible's shocking season finale. When it comes to weaknesses, Omni-Man doesn't have a lot of them. While the further along we get into the comics, the more we realize Earth's mightiest champions are not all that powerful compared to the other alien species. He still stands as the planet's strongest protection against villains and invaders. Well, that is until he started turning on people he swore to protect in the first place. I will reveal one of Omni-Man's physical weaknesses later on, but for now let's focus on one single point that made him fail his mission as a Viltrumite, his family. He may have called Debbie a pet when he was trying to convince Mark to join him in his quest to rule and better Earth, but the years he has spent beside her has changed him on a molecular level. By the end of their father versus son fight across the land, Nolan was clearly overpowering Mark, and just started pummeling him non-stop, going to the extent of shattering the ground underneath Mark. But while everything indicated that the end was near for the short-lived superhero Invincible, things did not go according to plan for the pure Viltrumite. Being at an inch of ending his son's life, Nolan got caught in a flashback when Mark was playing baseball, and Debbie was in some way teaching her husband how to enjoy fatherhood. A key moment which just might have saved our protagonist's life. The villain's weakness will also become one of his strengths in future seasons. That is, if the series keeps true with the comic storyline. When it comes to the truth behind Omni-Man's mission on Earth, it's a rather messy affair. There are various versions of it depending on who tells the story, and at what stage of the character's development the history of Viltrum is told. Since the plot of the show has been quite accelerated compared to its original source material, what we got was Nolan's truthful version of it. In the comics, he made it sound as if the Viltrumite were helping other planets and civilizations expand, and framed the Viltrumites as heroes, while later on admitting that things were a bit more complicated. It's true that his mission was to fast-track plain Earth into the future, but the ways he would have taken to bring humans there would have probably been quite inhuman, to say the least. So one of the main goals was to test how compatible human and Viltrumite DNA would be. And to do so, he found Debbie, and they had Mark together. This revealed to have been a perfect match, since the Viltrumite blood would mostly take over a newborn baby, with parents coming from both planets, like is the case for Mark. There's much more complexity coming ahead, but for the sake of not spoiling the show, I'll keep that discussion for a later day. You're welcome. But what we know for sure is that since Omni-Man left his post, and according to Alan this is very uncommon behavior, Earth's going to get a visit from a few of Nolan's comrades. So where is Omni-Man actually heading? The last information we got on his whereabouts was from Cecil when he informed Debbie her husband flew off the radar into space. Now, I'm about to get a little spoily, so if you haven't read the comics or want to keep the surprise for Invincible's next season, you might want to skip ahead to the next entry. Alright, back to our main program. When Mark is reunited with Nolan, it's by a chance in a place far away in the space. There he stumbles upon his father, who is now ruling the planet known as Thraxa. Not only did it appear that the people of Thraxa had made him king, but he is now known as a good and gentle one. And plot twist, he's already remarried with one of the insect-like Thraxans named Andressa. If that wasn't enough to stupefy Mark, they had a child together, Oliver. Oliver, who has inherited his mother's fast aging, will grow up to be the borderline anti-hero kid Omni-Man. Nolan might have turned his back on Viltrum when he flew away from Earth, but by the looks of it, he still intends on expanding what he sees as the most powerful race in the galaxy, hopping from planet to planet. Alright, so let's head back to episode 8 for a minute or so. It might be true that Nolan's reveal was sudden and confusing for everyone around him. And to be frank, did he actually believe Mark would just go ahead with his plan without giving it a second thought? Nolan might have the muscle, but he sort of lacks in the social skills department. Anyway, while the fight started on an open field right after he sliced a mortal in half, it didn't take long for Nolan to super punch Mark into a crowded city. Using the poor teenager as a projectile, he brought down a few buildings, destroyed the streets, caused quite the mess in the underground subway, and more collateral damage. Ugh, really messy. The number of casualties was so high that the news reporter couldn't even put an approximation on the life lost during the news report after the event. But why did Omni-Man actually bring, or more like throw Mark right into the heart of a busy city? Well, the answer is simple. He wanted to break him. Nolan's objective was to show his son how humans are weak, easily pulverized, and useless. But more importantly, how Mark was the total opposite. Using him as a weapon in the Metro Station, Nolan wanted to prove to Mark how very different he is from all these easily breakable human beings. Unfortunately for the powerful Viltrumite, the lesson did not quite work, and had the opposite effect of Mark caring even more about his fellow humans. After all, he was brought up amongst humans. His mother is 100% human, and so is half of himself. For a man who's lived for thousands of years, Omni-Man's not the best at thinking ahead before springing into action. Okay, we're back in comic book spoiler territory. You have been warned. You know the drill. By all means, feel free to stay a little longer. Now I want to turn to the one thing that can decimate thousands of Viltrumite in a short span of time. Beside the fearsome alien dinosaur thingies called Rognars, what has been the most effective to destroy the entire Viltrumite population has been the Scourge Virus. The virus was originally created by the Viltrumite Thaddeus, who betrayed his empire by killing Emperor Argal, an event which triggered a civil war where the most powerful Viltrumites joined forces to cut down the weaker ones in order to create a race of powerful beings. It was revealed later on by Thrag that this was also a way to search for Argal's descendants, Nolan being one of them. The virus was so toxic and spread so fast that it decimated 99.9% of the Viltrumite population, explaining why some of them have been sent out to repopulate across the galaxy. Thaddeus, who eventually left Viltrum to create the Coalition of Planets to stop the Viltrumite Empire, created a more potent strain that would have had the capacity to bring down the most powerful of Viltrumite. So it's no wonder that Omni-Man holds a great amount of fear towards the virus, as it could not only take his life, but the one of Mark and Oliver in the process. While not tested, the virus could also have the potential to wipe out the entire human race, since their genetic makeup is so close to the Viltrumites. While Mark's inner ear vulnerability has been taken advantage first by Cecil and later on by Robot, it hasn't been used against another Viltrumite so far. But that doesn't mean a certain frequency wouldn't be able to disrupt or even kill someone as strong as Omni-Man. In order to fly, a Viltrumite needs to attain a perfect equilibrium, and if a specific frequency is used against them, it has the potential to almost totally disable them or even kill them. So far, Mark has all the same abilities a full Viltrumite would have, so I doubt this inner ear weakness is only reserved to him. The thing is, maybe different sonic pitches are needed against different Viltrumite. In the case of Omni-Man, this would have to be experimented specifically on him, but I highly doubt he'd give someone the time to do so before ending up in tiny pieces splattered all over the walls. This is where a character like DC's Black Canary and her Canary Cry could really come in handy, until Omni-Man splatters her against the wall. Ugh, so messy. Who's cleaning all this up? Since it's only season 1 and the showrunners have taken quite a lot of liberty so far in their adaptation, we might just get a very different Invincible than the one that ran for over a decade in comic book form. So all bets are off on what's coming next, but so far the changes are welcome ones.